everyone, and welcome to our first episode of Purple Noon, a
Yay.
podcast with Stephanie Conti and Savanna Lanausse.
Hi, everybody.
I'm here with Savanna. How you doing, Savanna?
Good. How are you?
Very good, very good. So just letting anyone know if the audio sounds a little bit off, we're first-timers. We're virgins in the podcasting world, so our little microphone setup is not yet perfected, but it will be soon. This whole episode is just going to be about us, just giving in a little bit insight as to who I am, who Savanna is, and everything like that. Just to get, you guys acquainted with us and kind of get a little taste before the reviews, a little taste of what we like, who we are, and why we love film. So I'm going to start with asking you, Savanna. We're going to do a little bit of a saucy film interview.
All right.
All right, so Savanna, why don't you tell me about yourself? Tell me your age, your name. Do you like walks on the beach? Things like that.
I am 22. My name is Savanna, but most people call me Vanna. Stephanie only calls me Savanna, so we'll just go with that.
I don't know why. I just refuse. I refuse to call you Vanna.
It's fine. I mean, it is my name, but yeah, no, I'm excited that we're doing this because me and Stephanie have been like best friends for 3 years, and we've been wanting to do something like this for, a long time now?
Yeah, we've been wanting to do this. We've definitely talked about it for over a year now. And we were supposed to start recording, but then COVID-19 happened. And so we thought hey, we have computers and stuff like that. We can still talk about film. I mean, we talk about it all the time over the phone anyways. So why don't we try recording it in 2 different locations? Because, stay home, please.
Exactly. So I'm really excited that we're finally doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I think where me and Stephanie are both really excited about is the fact that we haven't really found sort of a market for ourselves. Me and Stephanie are really into the Criterion channel, which is mostly what we're going to be doing on here.
Yes.
So I'm really, really excited about that. I think our next episode is going to be the first Criterion we saw together?
Yeah, which was Purple Noon, which was hence why we named this podcast Purple Noon, was because of our affinity not only for Alain Delon, but for that movie and how that kind of, for me, even before I became friends with you, Purple Noon was actually my first Criterion I ever watched.
Oh, wow.
I picked it up because I was like, ooh, this looks interesting. Alain Delon on the cover. I was, 14 at the time when I first watched it. I'm 21. I'm not that old, but I was 14 when I first picked it up. So yeah, Purple Noon, I think, just has a little special place in our heart. So our first real film interview or, talking. Yeah, whatever. Our first little thing is going to be discussing Purple Noon, not only Purple Noon, but the comparison it has with the talented Mr. Ripley. So stay tuned for that.
Definitely. And I think that when we first watched it, it did open me up to the world for the Criterion channel. And a lot of my favorite movies now are from the Criterion channel. So definitely check that out if you haven't.
Yeah, and just a little synopsis for those who may not know what the Criterion Collection is. It is obviously a collection of films, but it's done by this kind of like a committee who deems that these films have a significance in film history, whether this person pioneered a writing technique, a film technique, whatever it may be. It is film that has a very, very bold significance to the history of cinema. So that is what Criterion is. You can also, if anyone is interested of actually getting a Criterion or looking up, Criterion has their website. They're available on Amazon. This is not sponsored by Criterion.
Sponsor us, though.
I wish it was sponsored by Criterion so badly.
Yeah.
But they have their own website. A lot of it, you've probably seen their movies and stuff like that at Barnes & Noble, things like that. But that's a little synopsis on Criterion. Now, Savanna, let me ask you. So when we first connected as friends, one of the things that obviously connected us was film. Obviously, we're making a film podcast right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when did that whole ignition for film happen with you?
Oh, God. So the first time I can remember, genuinely, wanting to go to the movies and, having that, fun interest, when I was about 6, my grandfather he loved Sophia Loren films.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were together, he'd be like, oh, let's watch it together. And when I saw Sophia Loren on the screen, I was like, I want to be her. Like 6 years old, I'm sitting there and I'm like, yes. So ever since then, like I was like 8 years old and I would beg my parents to take me to the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the real turning point, though, if we're going to talk about like what movie made me really like realize like, okay,
everyone
like,
has that one movie where it's just like a flip of a switch where
literally.
it goes from a hobby to a personality. What was that movie for you?
So surprisingly, I was thinking about like when it was, and it was I believe my sophomore year, and I went to the theaters to see Interstellar.
Oh my God, I've never cried so hard 3 hours straight before. I just remember, yeah, that was a journey for me too. Interstellar is such a good movie, and it has a lot of significance in your marriage.
I did. I was going to bring that up. You know, when I first met my now husband, the night he asked me to be his girlfriend, we watched the movie, and then the night he proposed to me, we watched the movie because he knew how much it meant to me. So it definitely is a very close to my heart film. But when I first saw it, I kind of realized that I have to do something with film. Like whether it's just this podcast, whether it's going to see every movie I can possible. Like I knew like at that moment, I'm like, there is nothing cooler I could possibly do.
It's almost like the way I can explain it is almost like an adrenaline junkie. Like, you know, people who like gotta go on the highest roller coasters, who gotta, you know, do all these crazy stuff. Like the people who love just like jumping, but obviously on a much, much, much tamer scale. Like, I think it's, you know, it's almost like at least for me in a way, it's especially like with Criterions, like movies who I'm just like fascinated with and stuff like that. And like things I've never seen before, nor even ever heard from like public media. It's just kind of like this thrill seeking, like, oh my God, like what's next? What else can blow my mind? What else can do all these crazy things?
Yeah, seriously, I think that a movie, for me, a good movie has done its job when it can teach you something or make you feel something. So
oh my God, yeah.
That is what
absolutely.
Interstellar definitely did for me. But you definitely have a more interesting film journey than I did. So
yeah. Oh, I thought you were gonna say film taste. I was just waiting you to just roast me in my weird film taste.
That is a different show, a different podcast. But,
yes.
I was gonna say, yeah, you definitely have a more deep sense of film, but also like a different journey than I have. So let's talk about a little bit about you.
So for me, okay, so growing up, my mom went to medical school. So it really started on the roll. Well, even before my mom, like my family and I moved, for me, the earliest memory I have was me going, like looking down the stairs into the basement, seeing like where my family was hanging out and stuff. And me just looking and going, ahem. And every time I walked down those stairs, I don't know how it started, but they had to go, introducing Stephanie. And that was the only way I could come down into the basement. So I think it was they did it once and they made that mistake. I think that was it. And I just loved it every time. So that was the beginning. Like in my mind, I had a sense that I wanted to be, oh God, it's going to sound so awful, but I wanted to be the center of attention as a child. But for me, what really started was I would see all these movies and I loved movies. Especially like when I was saying, at one point I lived in St. Kitts and we didn't have good cable reception. And I think a lot of the channels at the time, I was like 5 or 6, they were not in English and they didn't have subtitles. So my parents would just show me all old movies and my kind of playing was crawling into a furniture box that was like 3 times the size of I was. And I would take like a little portable DVD player and a blanket, crawl into this box and just watch Big Trouble in Little China. Like was what I remember.
You do know we're going to have to like make a whole show just about Big Trouble in Little China.
Big Trouble in China has blessed my life in so many ways. I love Kurt Russell. I love that movie. But like, so it started with that. It started with Big Trouble in Little China, watching Big Trouble in Little China in a little box with a little girl and big dreams. That's how it started. So it went from there. And then as I was, getting older, I thought I wanted to be an actress. It was really until the time I started watching more horror films that I started realizing maybe it's not actress. And it really solidified when I watched
Yeah.
The Thing, which, I mean, full circle, John Carpenter and Kurt Russell coming to my rescue again from toddler to, and I was a teenager, toddler to teenager, coming in full rescue and just saving me. So I watched The Thing, and after watching The Thing, the first thing I thought was like, I wouldn't change a single thing in that movie.
Wow.
And that's when I realized I wanted to make movies, because I don't know why, I would always imagine making movies, but for some reason in my brain, I was just like, I want to be an actor.
Yeah,
like,
I get it.
It just didn't make the connection at that age until I saw that movie.
Of course.
And ever since, I've been, chasing down that big old Hollywood dream of being a famous director.
Well, we should talk about how you do have experience in the film industry.
I do. It's like there's so many people in this world who have like a full resume of things that they've worked on, like movies and stuff like that. And I'm here gripping onto this one movie as if it's my Oscar.
You know what?
But it is my Oscar, though.
It
is my Oscar. So what Savanna is referring to is that last year, actually, let's go back a little bit farther back. 4 years ago, real quick, I'm going to make this story. 4 years ago at a 4th of July party, I met a sweet woman named Gracie. And Gracie, if I could start a petition to make her into a saint, I would. But she's Catholic, so I don't know how she'd feel about that. But it was Gracie Smith, a.k.a. Kevin Smith's mom. And I met her. And at the time, I didn't know who she was. I was just having a conversation with her, and she was super cool. And I've always grown up having way older friends, like way older friends. Like even in, when I did dual enrollment in college, I was 16. My really close friend of mine was like 38, I want to say. But so me befriending, a woman in her 70s was not weird for me.
Yeah, normal.
Yeah. Plus, she's so sweet. So I met her. And after she obviously revealed it wasn't like a secret identity like Batman. Like she revealed who she was, like who like her son was and everything like that. And then after 2 years from that, I really, really got to meet Kevin and I got to know him. And after talking with him and spending some time with him, he asked me, he's like, yo, why aren't you in film school? And I'm like, dude, the film program I want to do is literally $300,000. And that's only for a master's.
Yeah,
that doesn't count the bachelor's you need. That doesn't count the associates you need. I mean, it's NYU.
Yeah,
so
no, I
figures.
Understand.
So he was like, man, people go to film school for just all the experience, but why don't I just give you some experience? Why don't you come work for me on Jay and Silent Bob Reboot? And I remember telling, at the time it was my friend Zach, but now my boyfriend Zach. I remember telling him like, I'm going to work on Jay and Silent Bob. And he was like, are you high? And I was like, I don't know, because he was smoking so much weed in the car that I couldn't tell. So it was, I worked on, in New Orleans on Jay and Silent Bob Reboot last year. And it was by far one of the best experiences of my life so far. And that was really like my big boy time in the film industry.
You guys
like,
gotta believe when we saw Stephanie's name on the big screen, we screamed as hard as we could. We were over the moon for her.
I have, you're so sweet. But I really, like, that's my big boy experience in film. My little personal stuff is like, I directed a play in college. I've written short stories, things like that. Last year, around the same time as Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, I also came out with a audio drama called The Gathering, which you are listening to two of the seven stars.
That's right
now. So we're both in that. I wrote, direct, edit. My name is slathered all on it. Technically on IMDb, the name is Stephanie Conti, IMDb. Because I told myself, I was like, you know what? If someone were to pick this up for free, at least my name's on it. I got my name all over it. They can't ignore it.
That's true.
Yep. So that is my little film background, film plethora and stuff like that. And I've done movie reviews in the past and stuff like that on Instagram. I've made some videos here and there on YouTube as well. I mean, you could go check them out. They're like 5 years old. It's just 5-year-old me just drooling over Criterion movies, but you could look up my name and see those. But that's really like my big little plethora of film. That's my little bouquet of film roses, if you will.
So definitely she has a lot of accomplishments. We can all admire that. I admire her for it very much.
Stop, you're gonna make me choke.
But so now you guys do know a little bit more about us, and I think the last half of this podcast we wanted to tell you what films we love and I guess inspire us in a way.
Yeah, like I think this whole big thing, like the reason why we're doing that, like this episode this way instead of just diving into a review, is just so that way to give people a taste of what we like. Because if we're like naming all these old movies and stuff like that, and someone's listening and someone's like, I only watch Adam Sandler comedies, so this is, and they can know like whether or not if they're going to, you know, find this interesting. And just like I said, just to give you an idea, I totally believe, some people believe movie reviews shouldn't be biased. I think they should be. I mean, I really think it's like I do you believe that? I had one person on a movie review I did was like, no, movie reviews are supposed to be, you know, non-biased.
But how would that work?
That's what I thought. I felt really dumb. I was like, am I an awful critic for not like, but then I realized I'm like, no, like it's called you're giving criticism. You gotta have your own opinions in there some way. You can't just be not biased on movies, especially if you like a movie or not like a movie. So this is, I guess what I'm trying to say is we're gonna give a little list of our little top 10, not only top 10 movies, top 5, whatever it may be. We're gonna talk about our top movies, top directors. Even I think we should talk about top TV shows too, because we shouldn't leave that out. I think a TV show, what a person likes in a TV show says a lot about them.
I agree. I think we could do maybe like a few of those today. So
okay,
let's jump right in.
Why don't you start, since you're the one with the list and I was too busy making my coffee this morning to write down my list. I came
prepared, everyone. Okay, so are we doing top 10 films first or top 5? What do we think?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to give it a number. Like, just talk about movies that really mean a lot to you, that you really like. Talk about movies first.
All right, so for the sake of time, I'm going to just give you guys a little summary on why I love these movies. So the first movie I do love, it is Midnight in Paris by Woody Allen. Now, I don't like the director. He is a pervert.
Fair statement.
And I don't necessarily support his films, but I did see this when I was younger. And it is a love letter to Paris. If you guys want to go to Paris, if you love art and writers, and if you are a writer, I definitely recommend seeing this film. It's very inspiring. The next film I do love is A Streetcar Named Desire.
I actually have the Spanish, like right now above me is Marlon Brando and Vivian Leigh on a poster, and I have the Spanish poster of it, and it's Un Travia. Oh God, I haven't practiced Spanish
that sound French? That sounded French.
Is it? Oh God. No, I'm not even gonna attempt. I'm half Puerto Rican. I can't shame myself like that.
What was I? A Streetcar Named Desire, yeah. So I am a big theater geek, as they say, and I've always loved the story, but I think this is probably one of Vivian Leigh's best roles, and I also love Marlon Brando, so just having the two on the screen is fantastic. The next one is Three Colors, White, which is a movie we both saw. And
wild ride. I can't wait to talk about that more in depth.
I love the movie because it was so different, and it is a wild ride. I've never seen a movie like, the story is just if I told you the summary of it, you guys would think we're crazy for even watching it. So it is a Polish film, and I think at some point we will talk about it, so I'm not going to get into it too much, but it's definitely one of my favorites.
It's definitely, like, if I were to summarize it, it would be like a Mexican soap opera, but
in Poland, yeah,
and more depressing, but very well written.
Very, very. The The next one would be Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. I talked about it a little bit in the intro. It's a Sophia Loren movie, and it's something I saw as a kid. And my favorite actress is Sophia Loren, and it's actually a comedy, so it's on a lighter spectrum, I'd say, but it's definitely a classic for me.
That's the one with Marcello Mastroianni,
yes,
right?
Of course.
That's the one?
The Italian king, of course.
Oh, yes. Oh, God, now we've indicted him as the Italian king. It can't be undone.
Yeah, well, he is. What's next? I'm going through these quick just for the sake of time. It's a Wonderful Life.
I get crapped on a lot because despite it being on every year in Christmas time, I really haven't sat down and watched it fully.
Well, we'll do that because it is. Like,
now you're going to make me around Christmas time. Okay.
No, seriously. Yeah, we have to for my birthday. I'll make you do it. But
okay, fine. If it's your birthday.
Yeah, no, because it's not only a Christmas movie. I feel like, the setting is Christmas, but I think everyone can kind of relate to it, and it gives that message of hope. It was also my grandfather's favorite movie, so I am a little bit biased. Well, okay, moving on. The next one is Before Midnight by Richard, the director Richard
Linklater.
Yes, I was going to butcher that. Thank you. But it is it is part of the Before trilogy in the Criterion. If you guys see it, it's the big box one, and it's basically a story that takes within the span of 20 years. So it's the same actors, and then it's just 20 years. Each movie is just like 10 years apart, I believe. And it's the last one. And I love the movie so much because the first two are very romantic, very, okay, whatever. And then the last one, it's just like reality hits, like this is marriage. And there's a scene in that movie. I'm sure we're going to review it because it is on the Criterion channel. That is so real and raw. And I feel like that is what a marriage looks like. So that's why it's one of my favorite movies. Would
you say all three are like in your top 10? Like all three of them?
No, surprisingly, just that one.
Oh, okay.
I'll explain that more because we're going to talk about it at some point.
Absolutely.
Purple Noon is up there just because I love the whole story of the con man, and I love movies like that. And Alain Delon just steals the show. And we're going to talk about that next episode. But have
you ever seen Les Samurai?
I have. And
okay, good.
I'll tell you next episode. I'll tell you, or whenever we review it, I'll tell you why I do prefer Purple Noon. But it is my favorite Alain Delon film. What else? Oh, Parasite, a newer one, surprisingly.
It comes out in April, I think. Well, today's April 1st. It comes out, I think, the 8th. I'm so ready for it. It's gonna come out on Hulu, so I'm just ready. I haven't had the urge to pay $7 now to rent it.
But when I tell you it is the best, it deserved all the awards at the Oscars. I'm kind of mad because I felt like the actors should have gotten awards too, but whatever. It makes you think the story is going one way, and then it flips it on your head, and it's very intense. The message and the meanings are very, very good. It was just I was in the theater and I was like on the edge of my seat. It's definitely an experience. And then I think we'll talk about that at some point because it is going to the Criterion channel. So
yeah, I know it's going. I think it's going. I'm not sure if it's going to Hulu first and then Criterion or both at the same time. But no matter what, Bong Joon-ho, he has a lot of affiliation with the Criterion. He's always like doing interviews and stuff like that. So it would be a little bit like we gotta talk about it no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not going to get into detail right now. I'm doing these really quick. Inglourious Basterds is really, really up there for me.
It's funny because I was thinking about that because I know for me, Inglourious Basterds is in definitely like my top 10 spectrum of films, but for some reason I like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood more, but it's not on my top 10 list. That just reveals that I'm too complex for my own.
I understand because I like the setting of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood more, but that opening scene of Inglourious Basterds is one of the best. Christopher Waltz, one of the best in that scene. And the ending of that movie, fantastic.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
And I love Brad Pitt in the movie. His Italian accent is superb. So
and I think, and just to be clear, like, we will be talking primarily Criterions, but we're not gonna be excluding we're not gonna exclude Tarantino.
No, of
Like, we're not
course.
gonna be excluding, Scorsese, people who are not in the Criterion or anything like that. It's just primarily Criterion is I think another one thing I wanna mention before you continue talking about your
Of
movies
course.
is that our goal is to not bash films. We just don't want to sit on here and just go, this movie sucks and this was why. Everything about it was wrong. I
Yeah.
think we want to have, like, obviously, because I feel like it's just so much more. Like, why are we going to talk about the things that we don't like when we can just go on and on about the things that we do like? And
Absolutely.
I think that's really, and because I see a lot of review channels, they continually interview or review movies that they do not like. But I don't know. I feel like if you review a movie that you do not like, it's got to have some element that you like about it, but you got to be able to give criticism on it. Like, I don't want to just sit here and just start going like, this movie sucked, and I'm gonna give you top 10 reasons why.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I
it
don't
just
think that's
doesn't seem
productive.
productive.
It's not.
Mhm.
It's not. And I think that, I think this is also a better way, because if we're going to sit here and waste our time talking about movies that we really, really didn't like, people do miss out on the stuff that we do like. And we could use that time to rave about a film we love. So
Yeah.
we probably won't be doing that on the channel. And again,
Mhm.
like, we're going through this all quick. Like, I'm giving you like my top 10 movies and I'm not really explaining why. But, come the other shows and podcasts, like, we're really going to sit down and dive deep into like why these movies mean so much to us or why we loved a movie. So
Oh yeah, I'm sure all the movies that you said we're gonna deep down and dig into, because some of the movies that you mentioned are on my top 10 list too as well. Because we do have in a lot of things we do have very similar taste
we do.
in certain types of movies. Like Interstellar is something like we like. The amount of times I've had arguments with people, heated arguments over which is better, Interstellar and Martian, and I'm not gonna
Who
discuss
said
the answer right now.
Martian? Who said Martian?
I'm not going to name names, but my friendship was put on the line with someone because of it.
Nah, nope.
So,
Yeah. But
okay, so
the
what
last
other movies
one,
are on your list?
last one, my favorite movie of all time, and I know people are going to be like, really? After all the Goodfellas.
Classic.
I love
It's a classic.
Goodfellas. I think it's one of those examples, and you may disagree with me, of like almost a perfect movie. I'm not going to say it's perfect because every movie does have its flaws, but in terms of casting, cinematography, the dialogue, just everything, I think kind of hit the mark.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. It's not what I love that movie by all means, but it's not in my top 10. But I definitely think like it couldn't have been done any better. It could have been done differently for sure.
Yeah.
And I think someone else could have done it. Like, and I'm not saying anyone. It would take a special person to be able to do it and match as well as Scorsese did. But I don't think anyone could do it better than him.
Oh, yes, for sure. And I'll talk about, because I think we're going to talk about directors, and I wanted to say something specifically about why he's unique to me. But I think, Stephanie, it's time to reveal your top 10.
Oof. Okay. So
We held long enough. Come on.
Okay. So the biggest thing I have a tie between number one. If you ask me what my number one favorite movie is on 2 different days, I will give you 2 different answers, because for years I haven't able to choose what is number one. And number one is either going to be The Thing, the movie that inspired it all for me, or Last Tango in Paris.
I knew
and
it.
I know people who are listening who actually know what that is are going, excuse me, but
we'll have to talk about that. We'll have to talk about Last Tango in Paris, because that's
but just to real quick, the Thing, I love The Thing. I wouldn't have done it any other way. I think for me, when I love a movie because I want to be a director, when I love a movie, it's because I wouldn't change anything about it. Like, I agree. Like, I would have done either the same or the person who directed it did better than what I would have done. That sounds so condescending, but I like The Thing. I would not change a thing, like a single thing about it. Like, I love The Thing. I love Kurt Russell. I love the cast of characters. I love the setting, the horror element, and I think one of my favorite, and for those who have listened to The Gathering, one of my favorite genres is people trapped in a room or in an environment and pointing fingers at each other. I think that is a whole beautiful ball game of like a playing field that, you know, you can just manipulate and
It's
mess
just the
around.
claustrophobic feel that those movies give you, like the walls are closing in feelings, you know? And
Because
I think,
when you put characters in that element, everything is free game.
yeah.
People can act crazy, people can act smart, people can act stupid. It's free game because it's totally realistic when people are in that element. So that's why I love The Thing. My tie with it is Last Tango in Paris.
Oof.
It is a weird film. I've made Savanna enjoy it. It is not for everyone, maybe not for anyone except me, but I love Last Tango in Paris because the acting in it is I have a full 20-minute video already ranting about Last Tango in Paris and why I love it. So you can just check it out. It's on YouTube.
I mean,
just look at my name in Last Tango in Paris. I'm not going to talk about it now because I will go on for 20 minutes.
We'll have to make a separate show because I think we should talk about because it is such a controversial film, and I think people are going to want to know why.
My two takeaways as to why I love it so much is, to me, in my opinion, it's the best acting I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh my God, Brando and Godfather on the waterfront, all this stuff. But I'm like, Last Tango in Paris, though, is the realest and most raw performance I've ever seen of an actor. Pretty much in the most realistic, most relatable sense. Like, you've seen actors, you know, do crazy things. Like, the first thing that come off the top of my head is Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant. Like, that's raw, that is real, but that is something that not many people can relate to. Brando, on the other hand, is the most relatable, the most raw, and the most real in that whole category.
You know, I actually sorry, go ahead.
What?
No, I was going to say I do enjoy the film, and I think that because of the stigma around it, and I guess we'll talk about that another time, I do feel like people are put off. And there are some scenes in the film that, like, if you don't watch it through the whole movie, like, it's going to put you off.
I'm just thinking, go get the butter. Oh, God. We'll talk about that another time.
My trauma. But no, I do feel like there is a lot to take away from that movie. So I think that we should advocate for people to watch it because I did enjoy it. And
I totally agree. I mean, it's not going to be for everyone, but I definitely think it's worthy of giving a chance if you look at it in the right way.
Absolutely.
For sure. If you, and like the second reason why this movie is one of my favorites is because I've learned from this movie more than any other movie, meaning what the limit is, because learning the whole background and everything, it teaches you everything a director shouldn't do. Even though Bernardo Bertolucci, you know, was acclaimed and in his directing style was absolutely stunning, there's so many things to learn about from Last Tango in Paris, and that's why it's one of my favorites. It's tied with number one.
Yeah.
Another movie I really enjoy, and not many people like, but I absolutely loved, was Nocturnal Animals.
You know, I'd have to watch it again. I'd have to watch it again because when I first saw it, I'm not going to lie, I was confused.
Yeah.
So I don't think I understood the film.
It's a bold perspective to take. Like, because when you're watching it, and this is not a spoiler or anything like that. So, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. But just keep in mind knowing that it switches from this woman, the main character's reality, to what she's reading. And if you see, like, why did they choose two actresses that look the same? Because remember, this woman is reading a book, and everything that's happening in this book is perceived in the way she's viewing it. So she's using people who she knows, you know, and stuff like that to play out the story within the book. And I think that's genius. I don't know of anyone else. And if anyone else has done something like this, please send me the links, because after seeing that, I thought that was just such a genius way to tell a story. Not only to, like, just show it, like, not only to show the dynamics between this woman's real life and this woman's her thoughts and everything, but it gives, like, a real sense of vulnerability when you have a character reading and you're seeing it play out in their mind. You notice things that only they would put in that story and only they would do. And I really love that way of storytelling for that one. Let me see.
I'll definitely check it out again.
I highly, highly recommend it. And also Tom Ford, dude restored Gucci in the early 2000s and then came and slaughtered the film game. I mean, come on. Like, he is, like, one of my many heroes. I would definitely say he's in, like, my top favorite of directors.
Wow.
For time's sake, God, I'm trying to think of a movie. There's so many movies I just love. It's
Yeah,
just so hard to narrow down
it
for
is.
me.
I had a hard time doing mine too. So I definitely understand.
You know what? Maybe I should look up at my wall because I have all these film posters. Maybe I'll get inspiration from that. Um, you know what? I straight in front of me is Rocco and his brothers, and that is I know for sure is
Another
definitely
classic.
yeah.
Elaine
It's
Alon
so
classic.
good. I really love that movie. I love it because for its time, it was very daring, very very
Oh,
daring, and it was
absolutely.
just the music. Which, by the way, if anyone hasn't seen this, watch this movie and watch The Godfather, and you'll see it's pretty much the same exact soundtrack. I think Nina Rota, the composer, got a little lazy, in his older years, and
But
was
when I
just like,
saw the film, I couldn't help, and I think we'll talk about this in another podcast, but
Mhm.
it reminded me a lot of Raging Bull.
No, it's literally so. One of the things that I love learning about is directors and where they get their inspiration from, and like on Martin Scorsese on one of his like top lists, he was like, "I love Rocco and his brothers. It's had big inspiration." I'm like, no shit. Have you seen Raging Bull, dude? Like, he literally parallels it. And don't get me wrong, Raging Bull is a very good movie in its own way. But I mean, come on, there's a
It's
lot. It's
very similar to Rocco and his brothers if you
same thing
watch
with
it.
Tarantino and the dance scene, the pivotal dance scene in Pulp Fiction is just straightly taken from
Eight and a half.
Eight and a Half.
Yeah.
So that would be a good episode, just talking about like our favorite, little director ripoffs and stuff like that. And trust me, like it's not a bad thing. I do it all the time. I do it all the time, so I know it's okay. But it's definitely I always enjoyed learning and talking about
Of
things
course.
like that, like seeing, like telling you, oh, your favorite directors are not so as original as you thought.
Right. So, okay, you got three down. Do you want to just do two more? Because I know you're
I
having a
think
hard
what's
time.
really so definitely White is on there.
Yeah.
I think for me, what will show more of what I like is who my favorite directors are.
All right. So we can just move to
And
that if you want to.
I think my favorite directors, because I feel like, because I could talk about so many movies, but it's all going to be from from either similar or same
Yeah.
directors.
Yeah.
Um, the one on the top 5 list has got to be John Carpenter because he inspired me.
Of
So
course.
that's always something. And The Thing, just oh my god, I love The Thing so much. The person who Bernardo Bertolucci, definitely for Last Tango in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Just I love his filmmaking techniques, and I'm gonna butcher his name. So if any Polish people are out there, cover your ears. uh, Krzysztof Kieslowski.
Love the accent. Yes.
Thank you. Uh, I love him. I love Decalogue. I love Three Colors. I still have more to get into his whole filming
He's amazing. He's absolutely
library I still
amazing.
have to go through. I
Yeah.
know there's so many movies I still have to see from him, but definitely like every time I've watched his movie, I've been floored by his directing. And I think I've been floored by his directing because it's it's exactly what I would do. As so pompous. I'm so pompous as it may seem, but it's something like when I watch one of his films, like and I see like his camera movements, I'm like the angulation is something impeccable that I would try to do. Like I would aspire to be like. So definitely Kieslowski. I love Visconti, Luchino Visconti. I wish I was related to him, but they're, Conti and Visconti are just a little different. And you know what? Shout out to my homeboy Kevin Smith.
I was gonna say you have to. He has to
I
be.
have to because even though stylistically, I will say I'm just gonna get it out. My favorite film from him is Tusk, and many
Oh,
people
that
will
is a.
disagree. But it's my favorite film style that he's ever done. I think his directing technique in there is fantastic. But
It was
yeah,
really
I
funny because
think
when I first saw Tusk, you recommended it for movie night. I watched the film, and at the end, I was just like, "What do I do with this movie? How do I apply this?"
yeah,
It was a great experience. If you guys haven't seen it, it's a great movie night movie with your friends.
it don't expect to be moved or you'll feel emotions, but it's not going to be emotions you want to feel. But really, like working with him, he's an amazing, amazing guy. And working with him. He's definitely a huge inspiration because everyone loves him because he is real. He is himself. He is so sweet, so nice, and like and this is not like just if you ask anyone else who's actually had the opportunity to meet him, everyone will say the same thing.
Of
He is
course.
such a great guy and everything. And the fact that people continually, after 25 years of his career, want to work with him is something that I want to achieve. I mean, come on, Jay and Silent Bob reboot. He got pretty much the entire cast back,
Absolutely.
and being there during New Orleans and everything like that, and seeing how all the actors interacted with him and stuff like that. It was crazy inspiring because it's like I want to be able to work with actors like just like that.
Yeah. I think if you guys also haven't seen Jay and Silent Bob the reboot, it's a really fun movie. It's a
On
really good
Amazon
time.
Prime, so no excuses.
Yeah, it's a really good time if you are looking to laugh, because I know we all need to laugh in this climate. So I definitely recommend that.
And watch the first one. Watch Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back first, and do a little double feature. Get yourself a big old bag of popcorn. Do a little double feature because I definitely think you'll be able to appreciate Reboot more after seeing Strike Back.
Stephanie,
so definitely do that.
People are going to listen to this and be like, "There's no way these girls aren't sponsored." There's no way.
I know. They're like, dudes are getting money from Criterion and Kevin Smith.
No, we're not making any money. I think you need one more director. I believe you put 4.
And this is going to be a controversial. That's my nickname, Controversial Conti. That's what they call me in the streets and in the sheets.
70.
We watched this movie. Well, we didn't watch it at the same time. It messed us up. And I think it messed us up for days.
Stephanie, please.
And I really applaud that she's like, no, Stephanie, don't.
Do not give this man any credit. Oh my god. Not that I think he's a bad director, but he gives me the creeps to my core.
I'm just gonna say it, Lars von Trier.
Oh.
Savannah's like, oh, you just messed up. You just lost all our viewership.
Dude, we watched. Okay, we're gonna go through this quickly, but she said recommend a movie.
House That Jack Built will be its own episode. It'll be 2 hours long because we have so much to talk about it. But I really do enjoy his work.
I think he's a good director, but as a person, he could use some moral work.
I think he's a good. How do I say it this way? Because I've heard a lot of things about him, and obviously I haven't met the dude. I don't even know if I want to meet the dude.
I would just want to. I'm scared of
everything. But I really when I watch his films, even though I hear some pretty gnarly stuff about him, when I watch it and see, his films, I'm like, God damn it, he's just too good. It's just one of those things. Am I going to compare him? No, I'm not going to compare. I was going to do a really bad analogy to another director, but I'm not going to.
Don't do that to another director. I don't mean to be mean to him.
No, I think the other director who I was going to compare him to is worse, and I was just going to give him a leg up. But
I don't mean to be I've done I heard things a lot about him, and then I've watched a lot of reviews on his movie because I don't really want to watch a lot of his movies because if you look at the topics of his films, I'll just tell you some of the titles: Nymphomaniac, Volume 1 and 2.
You're revealing a lot, but here's the thing: you're saying things to reveal about him, while you're just revealing about me right now.
I don't.
We were
those are those things
about my weird ass face.
I listened to a lot of reviews on his film because I don't know if I could. After seeing The House That Jack Built, I don't know if I want to put myself through another one of his films, genuinely. But I think we'll talk about that another time. But
it's a fair statement. But yeah, I'm going to end my list.
I'm surprised of you. I'm surprised.
I watch every time I watch him stuff. There's something about his movies I can appreciate. There's something about his camera work and everything like that I look and I'm like, damn it, he's good. He's like the school. If I was a teacher, he'd be the one a-hole student who just aces everything, and I'm like, damn it, he's just too good. but I
I
don't want him to be good.
All right. Well, that's definitely going to be an episode
Okay.
on just him alone.
My list is done and over with. Let's do a little quick.
Yeah, since this is getting long, I'll just go through it quickly. Top 5 is actually Richard Linklater.
Okay.
Just because of the Before trilogy, and I'm also a very big Dazed and Confused fan. Young Matthew McConaughey is great.
All right.
I'm actually a big fan of Darren Aronofsky.
Oh, yes.
Requiem with a Dream,
yes.
The Wrestler, Black Swan, I think are all amazing films, and I think he's very different. He also made Mother, surprisingly.
I haven't seen that one. I heard a lot of different things about
it,
but we'll have to
weird,
save that for an
metaphorical, symbolic. It's a weird film, but anyway, Alfred Hitchcock is actually one of my favorites because I am a big Psycho fan, a big Vertical fan. Rear Window, I actually do love all those movies.
Good choices.
The last 2 are very basic, but whatever. Martin Scorsese for obviously Martin Scorsese, Christopher Nolan.
Oh, Nolan, jeez. I mean, you can't go wrong with those 2, even though they're very basic. People will say, but it's like you can't go wrong with having them in your top
Nolan,
5.
like when he dies, they need to like open up his brain and see how it works because I genuinely admire. Like he wrote Inception, Interstellar. Like and I think his brother writes all those movies. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm. I think so. Yeah, I know he works a lot with his. I know his wife is a producer. I think his brother has written. I think he co-writes with him.
It's funny because my husband literally talks about The Prestige every day. Like every single day. So
and he's not a movie buff by any means. I mean, he's slowly becoming one, but he's just like The Prestige. I mean, which is a great movie.
Yeah, so you know when he talks about something, but those are definitely, I believe, my top 5 directors.
You know what? And I think that's I think I'm happy that you ended with your top 5 and not my top 5 because we ended on a happy note. Where if we would have ended on mine, people just would have been pissed.
Like, she's
walked
weird.
away.
No, we have to definitely, because now I'm interested on why you like this man. So we're definitely gonna have to do an episode about that. But I think
for sure,
that's our directors and the top movies.
Yeah, and I think that we have successfully, at 46 minutes and 49 seconds, have completed our first episode. So, what a brief introduction. A whole, almost an hour
funny,
of
guys,
us just talking.
Because Stephanie was just like, hey, let's keep it between 20 minutes. And it's just...
I knew as soon as I opened my mouth, I was like, this ain't going to be 20 minutes.
But yeah, I'm happy you guys joined along for the ride. Hopefully you guys stood the whole 47 minutes, but...
They left when I said Lars von Trier. Are you kidding me? They left 20 minutes ago. But and to anyone listening, we are still working on our schedule. We want to be able to, during these times especially, we want to be able to start releasing content out at least weekly. So I have a website. It's called audemicmedia.com, and I will be posting more like little blog posts and things like that. And of course, to our friends and family, you'll hear it on Facebook and whatnot, and all that little thing.
YouTube, everything.
Everything, all the social medias. But
I believe I believe our next episode's gonna be what, in a few days?
Purple Noon. Yeah, it gotta be Purple Noon and Talented Mr. Ripley. So stick around for what we have next time. If you left at anything I said because it was controversial, I'm sorry, but this is a warning from here on out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope I just become one of those people that are like, I love to hate her opinion. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.